The tree boss? Okay, cool. We're doing... no, you guys voted for tree boss. So ugly tree boss is what we'll do next. Okay. So the ugly tree boss, Ilgoth... I just call it Ilganoth. It's Ilganoth, or whatever. I call it the eye boss, or the heart of corruption. Whatever you want to call it. I'll probably call it the wrong thing. Basically, there's 2 stages. Stage 2 is the easy phase. Stage 2 is your big DPS burn. That's what I'll go over first. Basically, once you activate Stage 2, you get in the room. If you guys remember Yogg-Saron, pretty much exact same thing. If you guys have ever done that encounter where you're farming mounts, you go inside the brain, you DPS the brain, you come out when the timer comes out, otherwise you die, right? Same kind of thing there. So in Phase 2 on Ilgoth, or Ilganoth, whatever, he does, this is Dark Reconstitution. If you do not run out in this 50-second time period, then you die. You have to get out of the room, basically. The other things that happen in this one are Cursed Blood, and basically it's a big circle around you, and after 8 seconds you explode. So don't be near anybody else. Don't be standing in other people's circles when you are you're doing this. You're very welcome, Demon's Bane. You're very welcome. But just send me money later. Not now. Don't interrupt. Subs. Stop subbing. So during this section, you don't want to blow up the entire raid. You want to be spread out as much as you can, and you'll see that in the video that I'll show you. The other stuff is really not important. Don't drag Bloods into the heart room because they will do a lot of damage, because you want to kill Bloods first. And final torpor is basically, if you don't beat the boss in 2 heart phases, you die. The raid wipes. That is the hard and rage. Everybody dies. So, to start off, and that's Phase 2. That's the easy phase. It's basically DPS, don't drop bad stuff on your friends, and then get out when the timer says get out. That's it. Super, super simple. You guys can do that. So, Phase 1 is quite a few little abilities here. Lots of little adds as well. 4 main adds to spawn. 4 main adds that spawn, and you sort of have to prioritize your DPS and look at where you're standing like any other encounter. So I'll go through the big adds first. So the first ones that spawn are Dominator Tentacles. They need to be tanked. So if you're a tank, you are tanking a Dominator Tentacle. 2 of them spawn at the same time, or 2 of them spawn at the start. I'm going to load up the video here while I explain some things. Ilganoth 2319 in my little video. One sec. 2319. All right. So we'll go through this. So Dominators are the first ones that spawn. We've marked 2. So we've marked X and Skull. Now, both need to die. I'm going to ask the stream here. Maybe the raid leaders can help me out here on this question. Why would you want to kill one and not just, focus on both? So most groups are going to assign, one side to left, one side to right. Why wouldn't you just assign or kill the one on your side? Right? Because the longer it's alive here, that the Dominator Tentacles, there's a couple things. It chooses a player and it slams in front of you. Like it just whips it out and it just slams in front of you, depending on which player it chooses. The other stuff it does is it does more and more damage every single time. It does a lot of damage here to the tank. And the tank takes a lot more damage, by 4%, and Rupturing Roar. And this is if it's not being tanked, it does a lot of damage to all players. So Nightmare's Fury, the longer this Dominator is up, the more damage the tank will take. So why not just split damage equally on both, rather than focus down one? Are we still able to sit in the heart? No, you're not able to sit in the heart as far as I know. No. To free a tank. Okay, so yes, to free... Thanks for actually answering. Basically, the reason for that is, yes, you could kill 2 at the same time, but you want to minimize raid damage, or minimize tank damage. If you focus down one Dominator, yeah, the other tank is free, but it's also one less tank taking damage. The other tank, the offside, or the downside of that is the other tank, the X tank, is actually going to take a little bit more damage because Dominator number 2 is up a little bit longer. So we're just going to blow up this one. You see the eye there shooting beams of hatred, not beams of love at us. So we're burning down this one while the tank is getting, trucked. And then we're down the other Dominator. Now what happens is there are more adds that spawn. So after every tentacle, think of heroic spine, guys. When you kill tentacles, little bloods spawn, right? When you kill a Dominator, 2 bloods spawn. Those bloods are really important. They're a big part of the mechanic. This fight is a lot like heroic spine, actually. It's because somebody mentioned it there. Those little bloods will fixate somebody. So right now, you'll see in my raid, when I click play, Roshi and Towley have a red square on them. They are fixated. If these bloods touch Roshi and Towley, they'll get a debuff. The debuff stacks. Like, it's a dispellable debuff, but it's avoidable damage. What you want to do with these bloods is bring them to the eye and explode them on the eye. When they die near the eye's HP opens up. So you have to do it 20 times in order to get into phase 2. So right now they're running around. Their Towley got hit by one of them. He's got a debuff. You can see Roshi got hit there. Second Dominator dies. And now we have 4 adds, plus one of those things. So what we do is drag those adds to the boss. You can see here the Nightmare Explosion. When they die, they explode. And if you're standing near the explosion, you're probably going to take a lot of damage. So don't be near them. Don't be near them when they explode. They're going to explode on the eye here. You can stun them as well. You can see I stunned one there. They're going to DPS them down, while everybody else, or your non-AoE classes, are killing down tentacles. So Death Glare tentacles are one of the other priorities. They're basically just, they mind flay random people. They can be interrupted, right? That is totally fine to do. So interrupt them wherever you can. And then we'll see the other tentacles spawn shortly. So we're controlling you pretty well. Like, we're dragging them over. If they're near you, there, you can grip them as well. Then stun them in place and blow them up. And on normal, it's pretty easy here because we're just dealing with a couple of the mechanics. And you'll see soon. So we have our group split between orange side and star side, or circle and star. You'll see, there's a beam there, and from that beam spawns a Nightmare Horror. That Nightmare Horror needs to be picked up by a tank. And the tank, when we decided to drag it over to the side there, because it allows easier movement for our melee. Now let's see if we should have adds spawning here in a second, if they're not already up. It does quite a bit of damage, and it also spawns, it has a frontal attack, number 1. So that Nightmare Horror, let's look at it here. The Nightmare Horror, tanked. It has Eye of Fate. It does 2 million damage to those in front of it. And it has Steeping Corruption. As long as this Nightmare Horror is alive, it spawns red pools of crap everywhere. So the goal is to kill it quickly so there's less pools of crap everywhere. Because if there's crap everywhere, there's less room for you to move. And if there's less room for you to move, well, you're going to have to move more to dodge things and you can DPS less. So it's always a domino effect, right? Ideally, again, you want to make it a super simple encounter. You want to make it a tank and spank with no other difficult mechanics, right? So by eliminating the horror, there's a lot less to deal with. All right, so here, and now there's Corruptor Tentacles. Now, the Corruptor Tentacles are a higher priority than the Nightmare Horror. The Nightmare Horror will die on its own, whatever. These Corruptor Tentacles, they are spewing crap. They are doing the same sort of thing that Nightmare Horror is doing, but they're spewing crap on random raid members. If it's spewing on you, you need to drop it in a good spot. That's not going to hurt the rest of your raid. So again, being proactive, drop it in a good spot. You'll see here the spew is actually on me. I'm going to drop it off by the wall here, just out of the way. And you see the little red pools of things spawn on me. You see Spew of Corruption on Smallwood. There it spawns on me, and it's a little tough to see here, but there's little red clumps spawning nearby because the Corruptors are throwing it on me. So you see it growing there. Now I've got a fixate on me, so that is on me. It actually hit me there, so that was bad. Now I want to run it over here, run it right by the eye, and then my AoE DPS will take care of it. We go back to the Nightmare Horror. So it's important that for DPS, sometimes you'll have to change priorities. So let's say there's the big Nightmare Horror up, but if other tentacles spawn, they are a higher priority. They're deadlier to the raid. So you need to switch off DPS and go kill them first, which means you have to be raid aware. There might spawn on the far side of the room, and you might have to run really far to them. You know what? That's what you got to do. All right, so there we go. So we kill the horror. Lots of little bloods will spawn in a second. See how the little bloods are spawning, and you can see the Eye of Illigoth on the right side there. The HP is actually dropping. We're going to kill these, and you'll see the Eye of Illigoth's HP on the far right side drop when they explode. And again, you want to make sure you kill them close to the eye, because if they're not close to the eye, it won't take damage, and you've wasted it essentially. And yeah, the eye normally, like right now, it takes next to no damage. So there, Death Glare spawned on the left side, and a Corruptor spawned on the left side. So now look, we have a Death Glare on the left, we have a Corruptor on the left, and a Corruptor on the right. If you're assigned to the right group, you're killing the Corruptor. If you're on the left group, you're killing the Death Glare right now. Which I believe we changed the priority because Death Glares are interruptible and Corruptors are more annoying. There. Little Bloods are spawning. Okay, well, Sparty, I don't have anything on my side. What should I do? Well, go help the other side out if possible. Right? So that time, the left side group cleared their 2 worms or their 2 eyes. The right side group had not cleared theirs. As a DPS, you would just switch over. Because what else is there for you to attack, right? Yeah, it's easy until you start getting hit by things. So here again, I have spew on me. So again, dropping those spews in the right spot is important because if you have them all over the room, your raid members are going to run over them and take a lot of damage. So once you've done, once you've blown up 20 of the bloods by that eye, it opens up Cthulhu style, and you will then run inside with no bloods. That's important. If you still have bloods up, you cannot drag them into the room. If our blood gets dragged into the room, it'll explode on the raid. It does a lot of damage. So at this point, we're going to run inside. We're going to use Heroism. This is the point where you want to use Heroism on the very first set of the hard phase. I've got a weaker on the left side of my screen there. It says time left. This is Cursed Blood. So those big circles are where we are the explosions. You don't want to be in a big circle. I mean, you'll get hit by your own, which is fine, but you want to make sure other people are not getting hit by those bloods. So ideally, what we did is, hey, if you have a Cursed Blood or the circle, you run to the outside of the room, everybody else is stacked in. It just makes things a lot easier. We're all stacked in for heals, and then you run back inside for heals. These guys should have been stacked a little bit better, or a loose clump. Cursed Blood again. These guys run out. Well, if you're a melee, we've actually assigned the entire back section of the heart for melee to DPS. And now time left, 3, 2, 1, and we run out. Now, Vic actually didn't die because he stood in there. He had surrendered to madness, which is what killed him. And so you're going to deal with another phase of that. So now we have Dominators again, so we mark up a Dominator and blow it up. Our DPS was actually split really poorly here. See what they do here. So they hit really hard with their Frenzy and Ground Slam. There, watch this. So you can see Ground Slam on Karnak, Ground Slam on Panzer. This is important because it can target any one of the raiders, and if it targets you and you're standing in the group, well, is it easier for 20 people to move or for one person to move? Because if it targets you, that's when it's going to Ground Slam, not Grand Slam. So a targeted Kuroyu and Panzer, they ran it on the inside, and look what happens. You see that big line? So if you're targeted on the rest of the raid, the entire raid has to move. And if the entire raid is moving, they're not DPSing or healing. So we kill the Dominators here. They're the big priority, always. So we still have Death Glares, but you know what? Dominator's up. So right there, that one was interrupted by a sunbeam or whatever it was looked like. Solar beams. And now we kill Death Glare Tentacles because the next priority. We want to make sure they're not casting. And interrupt the crap out of them as much as you can. And at this point, look, we've gotten 3 Corruptors on the far right side. Well, if I'm assigned to the left side group, I'm probably not going to run over there because I'm going to help with these Nightmare Acor's little bloods. The right side group is actually going to go run over to the right side there. You see them already sprinting across. Actually, I have to run over here because I got fixated. I got the eyes over me. And the right side group right now, you can see them on the minimap in the far right. They're actually killing those Corruptors right now because they are spewing that crap everywhere. And if you look really close, you see little clumps of red blood everywhere. Those are puddles that were not taken care of correctly. It gets a lot of damage, and yeah, like it turns into a cluster, right? People are dropping low here. I missed time to heal. I let Natoro die. But look at all the red stuff in the middle of the room now. Those are incorrectly placed corrupted spews. Now we have a horror spawning in 5 seconds. So again, you're dealing with the exact same phase once again. There's Nightmare Horror. We're going to drag it over. Wish I could zoom better. There. So yeah, the Nightmare Horror being hit, and now we have Death Glare spawning. So we have a little weak aura. That's a little fun, right? You can see there it says Death Glare spawning in 0, left Corruptor spawning in 5. So Death Glares are up now. Blow them up. Death Glares right now. They're the priority. So no DPS should be... who was that? Oh, that's Towley. Towley's attacking the... Holy is stacking the Nightmare Horror. And again, running the spews. I always have to be very careful there because I nearly got blown up by the frontal attack. More spews being dropped on us. So this is where it gets really, really hectic. Unless you can kill him in one phase and you have that DPS, that second phase is a lot more difficult. So if you're being focused by the Bloods, do you just stack on the eye and let it hit you, or do you run into the eye? So you would run it past the eye, and when it gets to the eye, you could stun it in place. Great question, Brett. So I did that a little bit earlier in the encounter, where you'll see these Bloods. They have to get close to the eye. Once they get close, they can get stunned or whatever, or killed at that point. Ideally, don't let them hit you. See, look at all the blood in the middle of the room now. Not great. So Zarani got hit a couple times there. Or, I mean, worst case, it hits you, and you can be dispelled. I mean, even worse would be for the Nightmare, the blood to actually not blow up on the boss. So we have more Corrupted Tentacles here. Again, you want to make sure it's a clean transition, so all the bloods have to be taken care of before you run in there. So lots of raid damage going out right now, lots of corruption spews. There are lots of explosions. I was fixated for a bit. And the boss is going to transition here in a second. We want to make sure all these things die before we run in. See how many people have the debuff right now? They all got hit. So you have to be very careful over time, because these things will do a lot more damage, that you don't get hit by them. And now we run in. And we blow up the boss the last few million. So we likely could have killed it the first time. And there. And that's Illigoth in a nutshell. So what questions do you guys have? Which tanks before healing? Question for later, Pixel. So if you're being focused by the Bloods, yeah, so don't just stack on the eye. Run it past the eye or right along the wall. And allow your DPS to kill it. So they're intercepting it. What other questions do you guys have here? Inventor positioning. I can give you guys positioning ones later on. Pinman, anytime. There's Smithers resubbing. So it is, I mean, a pretty straightforward encounter once, I guess, you look at the mechanics. But when you're in there, it's crazy stuff all over the place. You have ads running all over the place. You're not sure if they're on you. Again, if you have Fixate on you, right, which you guys should know from the weak aura. And the weak aura is, do I have it on here? Oh, I don't know how to install it yet. So let's load up that Illigoth weak aura right here. Paste bin. There you go. Here's the Illigoth weak auras. We're going to import them here. There we go. So these are fun little weak auras. Everything you really need to know, whether you fixates, where you to be spread out, where you're soaking. This also has some of the mythic weak auras as well, which will not be applicable to everybody else. The Death Blossoms, which is the big one. That's Death Blossom mechanics. How much health do the Bloods have? I can't recall. Maybe we can look at that video. How much health do the Bloods have? Let's go back here for a second. I might have one of them targeted. I think Wowhead might have it up, or Icy Veins or something might have the Bloods. Unless I target them, I won't know. Looks like, yeah, I have it targeted there. Looks like about 7 million HP on a normal raid of 19 people. So again, that HP of the Bloods is going to scale based on how many players you have in that raid. The priority for the ads. So the priority for the ads is always Dominators first, and then generally you want to go Death Glares. So my guild strat is actually Corruptors first, because Death Glares you can interrupt. So if you have Corruptors nearby, I would kill the Corruptor because it's spewing the blood crap, and then interrupt the Death Glares. But either way, as a DPS, you would go Dominators first, because those are the big ones smacking down the ground. Then you would go Death Glares or Corruptors. Then you would go the Nightmare Horror. And that's if there's no Bloods up. And if there's Bloods up, then maybe you want to assign some of your best AoE DPS, maybe Hunters or Demon Hunters or Windwalkers, whatever, to actually blow those ads up there. Because if you're a single target spec, you know, I don't know, like you're playing Assassination for some reason, or Subtlety, whatever, you may not want to be on the Bloods, right? You want to be on everything else. So you want to play to your strengths and not your weaknesses. Does it fixate tanks? Yes, it does fixate tanks as well. Yes. Because at the start of it, let's go back here, I think it was 23. Our very first fixate, there. You can see Towley and Roshi got fixated, so yes, it can fixate tanks. Good question. The weak aura link, of course. Yeah, if you guys want the weak auras, they're all there. Ready to go, share them, whatever. Relo from the stream here from the guild has made them. But yeah, any questions here? Let's see. A cross raid server for normal and heroic at launch. I'm pretty sure they are. I'm Pretty sure they are. Can't remember. But bad mythic is not. Do I have to unlock normals to unlock heroic? No, you don't have to, because there's really easy ways to get around that. My guild is actually doing heroics first, and then normals, because there's a couple of reasons why we're doing that. What can we do if we don't get the Massacre from a DK? Do single grips. You can do knockbacks. You can do stuns. You can do roots, probably. Anything else to sort of CC them and lock them in place. Any other questions here regarding Illigoth? Are raid recores necessary if you use DPM? They're not necessary, but they're really helpful. They're very, very helpful because they may have things that DBM does not have. Right? DBM made by Adam, whatever his name is, has been really good so far. DBM options. So Emerald Nightmare. Let's load it. Let's go Illigoth, for instance. So it shows you warnings. It shows you, cooldowns. It announces all those things for you. Can I test these anyway? Can I test the audible alerts? I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, there's spoken alerts for Nightmare Horror, for Fixates. In conjunction with the VEM, the Voice Encounter module, it makes things a lot easier. But weak auras are always, an extra tool. And you can always move them around, situate them in certain places as well. Do you ever later down weak aura online without having to install the whole UI? Yeah, sure. It's there. How many hits can I tank from the Bloods as a healer? So depending on the difficulty again, so the Bloods... Guys, focus on these questions. I can answer Holy Paladin stuff or Raid Leader stuff afterwards, or in between. Where's Nightmare Ichor? Is the Fixate Touch of Corruption. So here it does 107,000 damage every 2 seconds. So it stacks. So every hit you get, it does 200,000 damage. And more and more and more and more. It is dispellable, so it's not that bad. It's not the end of the world, even on Heroic, because it's 100,000 damage. That's like nothing. I've got 2.1 million HP. It's going to take, I don't know, like 30 seconds of no healing for me to actually die from it, other damage aside. So it's not the end of the world. You can take a couple hits, you'll be fine. People die in Phase 2, can they be rezzed? I'm pretty sure they are not within line of sight if they die in Phase 2. I'm pretty sure. I don't think we might have tried. But yeah, if people get locked in, they get killed, I'm pretty sure you can't res them. Not 100% sure, though.